Would you rather be alone in the woods with a man or a bear? Well, if you're an anime, you best be taking that bear. Golden Kamuy, Hajime no Ippo, Baki again. And what I actually want to talk about in this video, the Garouden anime. This thing had the stealthiest drop of all time. I didn't see a trailer, I didn't see any promotional material. It just kind of came out on Netflix one day and I was like, wait a minute, is this the same Garouden as the Keisuke Itagaki adaptation? The same dude who draws Baki? Well, yeah, kinda. It's a little weird, and we'll get to that in a minute. What you should know is I'm a huge fan of the manga, and I never thought we'd get an anime out of it, and I was honestly confused because the character designs look nothing like Itagaki's versions. Can you believe this is the same guy? This is not Retsukayo, this is Juzo, the main character of the anime. Which is actually the first thing I wanted to cover because this series functions as kind of a prequel. This guy right here, Tamba Bunshichi, is the actual main character of the manga. But this story is from the perspective of Juzo, who in the manga was a side character. And I know there's a few different adaptations, so Itagaki's version is not the only one, but it's the one I'm most familiar with, so that's the only one I can compare it to. Another character design I kind of had to get used to because it was a little different was Matsuo Shoza. This guy is arguably the strongest character in the series and he's very much a combination of Yujiro Hanma and Doppo Orochi. I love this manga panel of him. Noticing any similarities? Himekawa is another prominent character in here and he's still the same pretty boy in both versions. First thing I want to touch on is actually Matsuo Shozan's ranking. So again, this guy is probably the strongest character. He can be considered the top of the verse. He's pretty much the strongest karate practitioner, but in his own words, the other two in the top three is the strongest wrestler, who also happens to be my favorite character, the great Tatsumi, who in the anime kind of looks like Clark Kent. And the third is Master Izumi, who I never took seriously because he looks like this. He's pretty much easily defeated by Tamba and kind of admits that old age at this point has gotten the better of him. Which is why if you ask me who the third strongest character in the verse actually is, it's gotta be this fucking guy, Jumei Kuga. This motherfucker is scary, bro. Unfortunately, he was completely omitted from the show. He is not in there. But there is a nice little Easter egg in Baki that implies he fought Orochi Doppo, so if you're super optimistic, you can maybe say these take place in the same universe. Another character I'm super bummed out was actually skipped is my boy Kurama. This guy is the shit. I'm not gonna talk about him too much because this is supposed to be about the anime and not the manga, but man, I wish he was there. Finally, getting into the actual show, I was pretty surprised this is the only battle involving a wrestler, because the main theme of the manga itself is basically all about karate versus pro wrestling. In terms of the fights, I gotta say they were much more technical than something like Baki. The animation is not the best thing I've ever seen, but I think it does a good job of conveying realism. You're definitely not gonna see those high impact punches from something like Hajime no Ippo, but I'm also digging the more realistic approach here. It is a Netflix show after all, so don't expect banger animation, but I think they did a pretty good job with what they had. Now the weird thing is this is kind of a prequel for the first 6 episodes, but the last 2 episodes actually cover a lot of the stuff from the manga. It's a total shame they totally skipped this fight, which if you've read the manga, you know is this fight, aka one of the best fights in the series. But again, since Tamba is not the main character here and it's actually from Juzo's point of view, I guess it kind of makes sense. I'm not even sure if he saw that fight. Also, they definitely didn't have the budget for it. What they did adapt was the final battle between Juzo and Himekawa, where both of them were using the Tiger King. This is basically the ultimate move in the series, the most powerful secret technique. And again, animation was nothing to brag about, but I think they did an alright job in terms of execution. I would definitely still say the manga is the way to go if you want to experience the story, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy my time with this. I would say it honestly feels more like a spin-off than an actual prequel, but either way, I had a good time, so I definitely recommend it to people who have read the manga. If you haven't read the manga, you're probably not going to care, because the meaning and relationship behind a lot of these characters are not portrayed here, but it's still worth watching. Also, I gotta say, the underground audience is just straight out of Squid Game. They just stole it from there.